a book. Now you want people to buy it. But how do you go about marketing your book so people actually know that it exists? My name is Sarah, and I'm one of the marketing experts at Cutting Edge Studio. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the first things that you need to know about getting your book out there in the world so that people can find it, buy it, and fall in love with it. We'll cover our simple 4-step process for turning your self-published book into a bestseller. This is the same process we've used hundreds of times with hundreds of authors to sell thousands of books. It's going to be like a mini masterclass. By the end, you'll have a good idea of what the road ahead looks like when it comes to marketing your book. And so you know, many of team members here at Cutting Edge Studio have written and published books themselves. We know how you're feeling. We know how overwhelming marketing can be if you're new to it. You learned how to write your book, and now you have to learn how to sell it. Authors often ask us things like, what is an email list? Do I need one? And how do I get one? How do Facebook ads work? Do I need Facebook ads? What is organic marketing? What is paid marketing? And which is better for me? These are the things that we're going to touch on, because once you've sold your book to people you know, the goal is to get complete strangers to buy it too. We do that using our 4-step infinity loop. We've designed this method to not only get strangers to buy your book, but to turn them into true fans. True fans are people who buy your book, they read your book, and they love it. Getting true fans is important because these are the people who are going to keep coming back time and again whenever you write something new, and they're going to tell other people about it. A true fan can bring in many more, which is going to sell more of your books and get you closer to becoming a bestseller. Now let's imagine that there's an invisible line that separates strangers from the fans. We need to get as many strangers as possible to cross that line to become your true fan. Each step of our infinity loop is like a step we need to get strangers to take and get them across that true fan line. Let's take a look at each of those steps in more detail. Step 1 is connection. This is the biggest of all the steps, and usually it's the one authors feel most overwhelmed by. It involves creating content, and that can be quite time-consuming. And if you're new to writing marketing content, it can be difficult to know where to start, but we need to do it. In fact, connection through content is so fundamental that around the office we say that the connection we create through content is like the ABCs of marketing. Because we always have to be connecting with the people we want to buy your book and become true fans. There are many ways that we can connect, but the first thing we have to do is find people to connect with. There are 2 main ways of doing this. The first is something called organic marketing. Basically, that means this kind of marketing is technically free. It grows your audience of true fans without you having to pay for advertising. It does take longer, and it is a bit more complicated than paid advertising, but it's very powerful for turning strangers into true fans. SEO and keywords are a form of organic marketing. Maybe you've heard of them, but don't know exactly what they mean. Well, these are the words and phrases your future fans are typing into places like Google and Amazon to find books they're interested in. You have control over which keywords and phrases you use. And that means that there's a lot of responsibility put on picking the right keywords and phrases to make it easier for people to find your book. Because if you pick the wrong ones, you could very easily miss out on hundreds or even thousands of true fans because they just don't know your book exists. This is an important step you are going to have to keep in mind, but there are resources out there that can help you get started. And if you don't want to have to figure it out yourself, you can always get some help. This is something we help a lot of authors with. Now, another way of helping people to find your book is through social media marketing. Maybe you've tried a bit of this one, and you might even have some followers already. Like SEO and keywords, this is another form of organic marketing. The main goal is to get people's attention and then entertain and educate them with your knowledge and opinions so they engage with your content over time to become a true fan. The best way to get started with social media marketing is just start posting and see what happens. You'll get feedback on what works by how many likes, comments, and followers you get. There are templates out there that can help if you're stuck on where to begin, and we have some specifically for authors that have been tried and tested. After organic marketing, we have paid digital advertisements. This one can sound a bit scary, but when you know what you're doing, it can be really effective. Facebook ads are one of the most popular types of advertising for authors. Usually you can get readers interested in your book by offering them a little something for free. This could be the first chapter of your book or a useful resource that will help them get to know you and your story better. This is known as a lead magnet. It magnetizes leads or potential buyers to you. This is harder than writing content because it involves creating what is known as audiences. These are the people that you're choosing to show your ads to. And it can take some trial and error to work out what your future true fans look like. That means if you don't know what you're doing, it can be very easy to spend money and not actually get anyone clicking on your ad or downloading your lead magnet. We help a lot of authors with organic and paid marketing, so make sure to connect with us if you need help. So now, imagine you've done a little paid or organic marketing, or both, and people now know your book exists. We've got some people ready to walk over that invisible line and become a true fan, but the connection step doesn't end there. Like I said earlier, this is the biggest step in our infinity loop for marketing your book. Most of the people you connect with through paid and organic marketing won't be ready to buy your book straight away, even with a free chapter. We have to take those people by the hand and we have to walk them over the invisible line to turn them into true fans. And we do that by staying connected with them. Remember the lead magnet we talked about earlier? The chapter of your book or other free resource we can use to make that first connection with people? Well, that lead magnet is what adds people to your email list. And when we have people on our email list, we can start using email marketing. We love helping others with this. That's because the great thing about email marketing is you have a direct connection with the people you connected with through organic and paid marketing. If you don't get people on your email list, you don't know when you're going to be able to connect with them again. But with email marketing, you control how often you connect with the people on your list. And when you can ping people a message whenever you want, it makes it a lot easier to turn them into true fans. Now, the connection part of our infinity loop means you're creating a lot of new things like blogs, social media posts, and emails. And that's why I said earlier that it can be the most overwhelming step for many authors. But I promise you, it is worth it in the end because you're going to have so many true fans buying this book, your next book, and any other book you write in the future. And as always, we've helped hundreds of authors set up their content and start building connection. So if you need help, we are here. But for now, let's move on. I don't want to overwhelm you because we've covered a lot already. So for our final 3 steps of our infinity loop, recognize, enhance, and validate, I'm going to do an overview. These 3 steps are all about improvement because if we followed the connection step correctly, by now we have people that we've connected with. We have an audience of true fans in the making, reading your social and blog posts and opening your emails. Maybe some of them have even bought your book and become true fans. But the connection step takes a lot of work and you have to keep doing it. I promise it will get easier and it won't take as long to do if you complete the final 3 steps. These steps rely on data. And we use that data to answer the question, am I doing the right things to make that initial connection and turn strangers into true fans? Are the roadblocks stopping people from buying your book? Can you make it easier to produce all the pieces of content you need during the connection step? The data tells us what's working and what isn't. That's because whenever somebody likes one of your posts, clicks on a blog, joins your email list, opens an email, or buys your book, that creates data that we can analyze. Now, there is a lot of software out there to help you gather and interpret data, but at Cutting Edge Studio, we actually use our own. Instead of trying to figure everything out using lots of different types of software, which can get confusing and really hard to manage, we've created one piece of software that does all the collecting and analyzing for us. Its job is to recognize patterns in the data. That is step 2. The recognize step. Then, looking at those patterns, we can create a new strategy that's going to enhance connection and get more and more people over that invisible line so they become a true fan. And finally, we have to validate the new strategy, which means we create new blogs, new keywords, new advertisements, social posts, and emails using the new strategy. And we see how successful it is. We're checking to see if there are any final tweaks we can make. There's a big risk for authors to waste time, money, resources, and effort when they're making their book, but the 4-step process we've just looked at makes sure you're getting the best possible outcome you can. That means more fans made and more books sold in the least amount of time and money possible. It's important to know that turning your book into a bestseller is more of a marathon than a sprint. There's a lot to think about, but hopefully the steps needed to market your book and turn it into a bestseller are clearer now. We've included a special resource below this video to help you get started turning your book into a bestseller straight away.